Okay, let's do it.
So we're joined for our final guest of the semester, all the way from Brooklyn in New York City, by the
Mhm.
founder of the block, Samella Watson. We thank you so much for joining us today. This is our STEM career cluster. I've got a room full here with me at Velma Jackson High School, and we're recording this for all of our friends in Madison County Schools, Madison Central, Rosa Scott, Ridgeland High School, Town High School, the Academic Options Center, and our YouTube channel. So thank you so much for taking some time for us today to talk about all your mini ventures and how they have just really pivoted into so many great things and all the great things you're doing there in New York City.
Yes, I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to be here.
Obviously, we want to talk about your platform, all your businesses you've started. Just give us a little background. You're originally from Chicago, and went to Roosevelt University. So just give us a little background of your education and kind of your experience before you got into becoming a tech founder and an entrepreneur.
Absolutely. So I definitely, after high school, I sent myself to a junior college, right? And what I realized is, I'm not sure. It was a bit challenging because I didn't know if school was for me, and so I came back home and went to Roosevelt University. And as I was at Roosevelt University, my major at the time was hospitality and tourism. And I was also working in hotels simultaneously. And what I realized is I dropped out. I'm a college dropout turned tech founder. And I'm not necessarily recommending that for anybody because the bigger picture is what do you want to do with your life? It's not like a blueprint to how to make it happen, but you do have to have a strategy around it. And so, in the midst of dropping out of Roosevelt University, I started working at some of the top hotels in Chicago and climbing the corporate ladder, going from just like a front desk agent to a supervisor to a front office manager, leading teams of like 20 plus people. And then I moved to Miami and became an entrepreneur.
Which is incredible. And now you've gone to New York, and then in the midst of all this, we have to add that your aunt is a graduate of Velma Jackson High School. So you're there in New York City and you were connected before we even met to Velma Jackson. So it just really goes to show how our little country school has footprints all over the country and all over the world, which I think is incredible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that aunt has done really well in life. And it was so amazing to see her daughter comment, like, my mom graduated from there. It really does show the impact and the footprint in what is possible, right? Because just because you are in Mississippi at the moment, the world is really yours and you can explore it however you choose.
Uh, I agree 100%. Now, we want to get to the block and Sabea, but one thing I do want to talk about is because we're really big on entrepreneurship. We really push entrepreneurship. There's never been a better time to be an entrepreneur in this country. I have so many kids, and I know all the other teachers that'll see this later will agree with me. They say, we hear from so many kids that say, I want to be an entrepreneur, and it's because I don't want to work for anybody else and I want to set my own hours. That's great, but there's a lot of things that have to happen before that happens. And I tell
Absolutely.
this joke all the time about I guess everybody just listens to the Jasmine Sullivan song where they say, I'm going to move to Atlanta, be rich, and open a business. So all that could be cool, but there's so many things that have to happen before then. There's a lot of financial things, a lot of paperwork, a lot of licensing, and tons of planning. So for our young people that maybe want to be an entrepreneur, whether they want to be a tech founder or not, what are some things that they need to realize when it comes to entrepreneurship that it's not just flip a switch and make money?
Absolutely. That you hit so many points, and I agree. People do think that they can just skip the hard work and then suddenly the money starts rolling in. The TV shows, the Instagram things, that is not how life works. I tell people all the time, you think that you're really killing it until life punches you in the face, and then now you have to decide how bad you really want it. So, some key things that I would tell young people is make sure you're starting something that you actually want to do. Don't just start a business because your friends are doing it, because your cousin is doing it. Because if you don't have a strong why and a passion for it, the moment that you run into an obstacle, you're going to say, oh, this wasn't for me. But if you wake up to it and you're hungry about it and you have identified a problem that you feel assigned to answer, then it makes it easier because you're not doing it for the results, you're doing it for the impact. And so that's what matters most. Have a deep, deep why about why you're like about why you're even wanting to start a business, and then be obsessed about the people that you are wanting to solve this business for.
Yeah, and also knowing who you want to sell to. I see some, we've had several alums start businesses just in my 10 years here, and a lot of them have had really great ideas, but then I immediately see they're not charging enough. You got to get
Hmm.
out of the teenage mindset. You have to see the big picture. If your friends and your family are who you're wanting, depending on your business to work, it's not going to work. So
It's
it
not going to
really
work.
is deciding who you want to sell to. And I think this ties hand in hand with kind of your previous experience
Hmm.
because talked about you did not graduate from college, but yet you still moved up a corporate ladder.
Hmm.
And
Absolutely.
obviously, we are not discouraging. We have several kids that want to go to college. We're not discouraging that. We have a lot of great schools here in Mississippi, a lot of great
Hmm.
HBCUs, PWIs, community colleges. But the key to all that is no matter what your plan is, you've got to be able to sell, you've got to be able to communicate, you've got to be able to market. So obviously,
Hmm.
you did not have a college degree, but you were still able to move up the corporate ladder. So how are those skills overlooked by people when they are moving up? Because a company doesn't necessarily want the person with the highest grades. They want the person that can do the best job and make them the most money. So
Absolutely.
as they're starting to transition out of high school into their next step, why are those skills so important?
So I want to touch something that at the time I didn't realize was like a gift to me. Two jobs that I had that literally changed the way that I deal with people. I worked in the hotel industry. I was at the front office. So anybody who's ever been to a hotel know that if there's a problem, whether it's at the restaurant, whether it's at housekeeping, you go to the front desk. And because I was in people focused businesses, I learned to talk to people. I learned to understand why they would be upset. I learned to sympathize with them. And then my other job that also gave me great skill sets that is transferable today is retail. I worked at J.C. Penney's. That was actually my first job, J.C. Penney's. And so being able to have customer facing jobs allowed me to transition into being an entrepreneur. Now, the question that you, what was the question that you asked?
No, it's just even if you don't have the degree, you can still be successful having those skills
Absolutely.
because if you can sell something and you can talk to customers, you can always find a place in any industry.
Absolutely. And the thing about it is schooling, like we both just said, schooling is amazing, but what schooling does is help you think about things deeply. But regardless of what you learn at school, if you're not applying it, you will not be successful. The people who win in life, they don't just have the idea. They have the idea and then they have the action steps to actually go and apply it in the real world. And I want to let everybody in on a secret. Nobody knows what they're doing. Nobody. But we're bold enough to keep figuring it out. We're bold enough to keep going. We're bold enough to, it's like a series of experiences. Oh, that didn't work. Try again. Oh, that didn't work. And so now when you have a list of things that didn't work, your list of things that could work should be shorter because you've tried all the things that did not work. So failure is absolutely not a bad thing. In fact, investors in the tech world want to hear that you started a company and it failed. They want to say, what did you discover when it failed? And then once you can point out how it failed, it makes you more resilient. It makes you better. It makes you be able to jump to the next level because you're taking what is looked at as an L and you're applying it to a new side of life. And now you can move faster than somebody who's sitting on the sideline judging everybody.
Absolutely. Now, and that's a great segue to this because you talked about in the tech world, because you have started multiple tech platforms without a tech degree and without a tech background, but because you're an entrepreneur and saw that there was a need for it and saw that that was the trend that careers are going, you have started Sabea when
Samaya.
you were in
Mhm.
Miami, and now you've started the Block there in New York. And both of these are online communities that takes uh, an idea and puts them in the tech world. So just talk about both of these platforms and how you're really pushing the envelope on tech entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. So when I got to Miami, being an entrepreneur wasn't even a part of my mindset. But I was one of those people who I just mentioned earlier, sitting on the sideline judging. Oh, if I had an opportunity, I would do this better. And then something hit me and say, well, if you think you can do it better, why don't you do it better? And so, without knowing what I was up against or without knowing any of the barriers of entry, I'm like, I'm going to be a tech founder. And so I started going to conferences. I started going to networking events. And even though I was in the background, quiet, not sure what exactly happens, I was taking notes. When people said a word that I was not familiar with, I put it in Google, I screenshot it, and then I will go back home and research what that word means. And then I was able to gauge what it is the industry talks about. And then once I got the confidence, now I'm at the conferences talking. Now I'm the one who's having the conversations. And so I built my confidence by learning what was required and learning how, like, the best practices. And then I showed up and put myself in the game. And so you're right. I've started two tech companies. I've gotten funding from Microsoft, and and I'm currently fundraising right now. And it's been a series of, like I said, experiments and finding out what does not work, educating myself. Nobody's going to give me a golden ticket. This is not Willy Wonka and the chocolate. Like, nobody's going to give you the ticket and just, oh, you made it. No, based on how hungry you are, is going to show how much you eat, right? So if you're hungry
Absolutely.
and you get up and you go and do it, don't be ashamed to fail, because that's what's going to make you amazing. Don't be ashamed to start over. I've pivoted. Block in Miami was short term rental. Block in New York is home exchange. So I had to say, actually, that model doesn't work anymore. I need to change it. And so most people are scared of change. Most people are embarrassed to say that they failed. This is what makes you much better than those who don't try, because you're actually collecting data points to use to move through life.
Yeah, so tell us about the block because you talked about it's home exchange there in New York, which is something I never would have thought of. So obviously you've turned an app website platform into a business. So just talk about how it works.
Absolutely. So Block, so I'm sure everyone is familiar with what Airbnb is, right? Airbnb is like, you can stay at another individual's home and then you pay them, right? So Block and home exchanges, you could stay at another member's home, but you guys are neighbors, right? Like, you guys are in a private community, and because they're staying at your home, they don't pay you, you don't charge them. But guess what? When you go and stay at somebody else's home, you don't pay them and they don't charge you. And so the idea is, you have something that I need, I have something that you need. Let's swap it. Let's exchange resources, i.e., our home. And then the idea there is, we have homes in multiple cities. So now when you're ready to travel, because you can work from your laptop, you've started your own business, you work for a job that says you can be a remote worker. 16% of companies today are fully remote, which means you can work from your laptop. And so when people can work from their laptop, that means location freedom. Where do I want to be this week? I think I want to work from somebody's island. And now, because you're in Block's community, if we have a home on somebody's island, you can go stay at their home for 7 days, 12 days. And now you don't have to worry about paying for lodging, because now your home has become available and they're staying at your home for those 7 days, or somebody else is staying at your home. So it's like, we're community. We all want to travel and we're going to swap homes so that we can do it.
Yeah, and I thought it was cool the way you describe it, is you call it the bleisure lifestyle.
Yes,
And so many kids see the things on social media and they see that that's what they want to achieve, but they don't want to do the work to get there. Again, I
yes.
can speak. I know I can speak for every teacher that will see this. Is that these kids, no matter how intelligent they are, because there's a lot of intelligence in this room with me right now. There's a lot of talent, There's a lot of perseverance. There's a lot of experiences already at 14, 15 years old. But
Hmm.
at the end of the day, these things they want to accomplish, they're not going to be done quickly. They're not going to be done easily, and it's not always going to be fun.
It's
And
not.
that's just a fact of life, unfortunately. So,
Hmm.
just talk about what you call the believe your lifestyle, and ways to achieve these things that we see as a dream on TV.
Absolutely. So I must share this part of the story. Okay, so moving to Miami, had no clue, but I figured it out, right? Okay, I'm going to do this thing. In the midst, before I moved to New York, I had what we call a waiting period. And so when I keep telling you that a L is not like your life is over, but it's really an example. Just last year alone, I spent 183 days sleeping on air mattresses and sofas. And the reason why I did that is because I gave up my lease in Miami because my dream was bigger than my desire to be comfortable. And most people were saying, give up, you should just go get a job, you should do this. But I knew that I wanted to make Block a $1 billion company, and we have a lot of work to do. But because I knew that I want to make Block a $1 billion company, I was willing to sacrifice what it looked like to other people without feeling like, oh, I'm being judged or I'm a loser because I'm sleeping. No, but now I'm in New York. I was in DC yesterday at Capitol Hill, right? So people see this glamorous side and think this is the only way to do it. No, you're going to run into roadblocks, you're going to trip, you're going to fall. But what matters most is getting back up and continuing to do it. And so as we talk about a bleisure lifestyle, it's combining both being on the yacht on a Wednesday with working to 2 p.m. on a Saturday, right? Like it's being able to say the work has to be done, but I'm not going to put in crazy work without also deserving a lifestyle to do the things that I love with the people that I love. And so a healthy balance in that will keep like your stress levels down. It'll keep the right people around you. And then when you're doing what you love, making money from it is like the byproduct because you're showing up with excitement. You're showing up and saying, I actually love to do this. If I didn't get paid for this, I would still do this. But guess what? When you show up like that, people want to pay you for it because your energy is different. The things that you say is different. And so you cannot want something that you're not willing to roll up your sleeves and do yourself.
Absolutely. Now, before I get to their questions, you mentioned something there I wanted to hit on real quick. You talked
Mhm.
about being around the right people, and unfortunately, while we've had so many successful alums, we've had just in the last few years some doing some great things all over the country now. We also have alums that make bad decisions because they get in with the wrong people. We have. Hold on one second.
Mhm.
All right, sorry about that. Had a little interruption there, but we've had unfortunately students that have gotten in with the wrong people and made bad decisions. And I understand we're a rural area. You can only be exposed to certain things at certain ages. You can't help where you're born. You can't help where you're raised, but you can help who you surround yourself with.
A thousand
And
percent.
I have had way too many, and honestly, just one is too many. But we've had way too many kids that have either fallen into a life of crime. We've had kids fall into a life of just living at my mama's house till I'm 30 years old with no direction, no motivation. And a lot of these kids are missing out because it's not that they didn't have the talent, it's not that they didn't have the opportunity, but they just lacked the motivation because it got hard. So,
Mhm.
what are some ways to surround yourself with better people?
First things first is we have to learn to listen to ourselves because when we hang out with the wrong people, it's because we want to live life on autopilot. I don't want to have to think about what I need to do. I don't want to have to challenge my choices. I don't want to have to say, actually, I prefer to work at this company or start this business. You just want to do what the crowd is doing, but that's lazy. That's literally living life lazy because you are following what everybody else is doing just because you don't want to have to think about how to like navigate your life. So that's the first thing. You have to learn to listen to yourself, because you are going to say, well, actually, I know I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be sticking up this store. My mama didn't raise me like this. If my uncle heard I was doing this, I would go to, you know what I mean? Like once you start having those conversations with yourself, you can decide these people don't align with the thoughts that are going on in my mind. I shouldn't be doing this. I know I don't want this. I want more for myself. If I could choose, I wouldn't be living this life. And then once you have a relationship with you, when the wrong bad actors or people come around, you got to stand on it. You got to say, no, this is not for me. No, no, thank you. Whether it's slow ghosting, whether it's saying no, thank you, whether it's getting a job and now you just don't have time for them. But as an adult, I went through a purging season where friends just started dropping off like flies. And during that time, I was like, is it me? But what I realized is everybody can't go where you're going. Only certain, I heard the metaphor like, when you put your oxygen mask on, everybody can get to the altitude that you're called to go to. And so you're going to have to leave some people behind, but that doesn't make you less of an amazing person. That doesn't make you less of someone who wants something for themselves. That just means that, do you think Beyonce could have any and everybody hanging around with her? Do you think that LeBron James could just be like, oh, I can hang out with anybody? No, it's too much at stake to have random people around you who's sucking you dry, who always want something, who want to bring drama to your door. You have to choose who's going to be around you, because that's going to be able to help you understand what you can and cannot do in life.
Absolutely. I do have some questions here. I'll get to as many of these as I can.
Let's
This
do it.
first one is Callista Brown. She's in ninth grade, and she asked, "What was your reason for dropping out of college? Was it because it was too complicated on your mental health?"
No, I dropped out of college because if I'm gonna be honest with you, I felt like what I wanted out of life did not require me to sit in somebody's classroom to get it. If I'm being honest with you, but that's because I also knew that I will go and get it. Like I'm a go getter, so it wasn't to stop. It was to say I can navigate this on my own terms, and then I just did it.
I like it. This is Tradarius Quinn. He's a ninth grade member of our band here, and he asked, "What was your biggest encouragement to become an entrepreneur?"
Realizing that when I seen the tech world and like these people making all this money and it started from just like an idea in their mind, I'm like, I have brilliant ideas. Why will I not invest in myself to try it? And so I just jumped out the window and I said, I'm going to try it and I'm going to keep trying it. And the more you start seeing yourself, you're like, oh, wow, I can't believe I did that. And then you do something else and you're like, ooh, and now you just get hungry for it. It just becomes your lifestyle.
I like this one right here. This is Derek Dozier. He's in ninth grade, one of our football players and baseball players. And
Hmm.
he asked, "What habits that you have do you think make you the most successful?"
I am true to self. If it does not feel aligned to who I want to be and where I want to go in life, I'm quick to say no, thank you. My yes is my yes, and my no is no, right? If I'm saying no to it, if I say yes to it, I'm going to show up with a spirit of excellence. Subpar, mediocre is not a thing, but I make time for me. I make sure I'm happy. And if I can show up my best self, I don't shrink to fit in the box, or I'm not a shapeshifter. You're going to get Samella full fledged. And if that's not going to work for you, no problem. But I'm not going to not be Samella because you're uncomfortable. That's your problem, not mine.
Absolutely. I like this one. This is Shanaria Lewis. She's in ninth grade, and she asked, "As an entrepreneur, what is the most useful way that you advertise your business?"
Ooh, I have advertised with community. Like, so I do a series called Word on the Block, where I just go on TikTok now and I talk to people similar to this one. And then I also do like email marketing, to where I get the email addresses and I send out newsletters. And I also I write blogs.
Oh, okay. I
Hmm.
like this one. This is Jacayla Green, one of our cheerleaders here at Velma Jackson, and she asked, "What inspired you to get into the tech space when you did not have a tech background?"
I was not looking for it, but it came looking for me. Um, I knew that tech is the future, right? Because really every company has to have a tech component. And once I realized that that was the future and I started going to tech events and understanding, I'm like, I want to build my own because when you have a software company, it's different from having a product. A product, you have to design it, you have to
There you go.
inventory, you have to do all these things, right? Well, software, you make it one time and you can make sales in your sleep. And so it's just a smarter business model, and that is the future of the world.
Yeah, and I mean, and you look and you go anywhere now, and you know, it's blowing your mind. You go in church, you go in a doctor's office, you go in Walmart. Download our app. So
Yep.
developing an app is going to be where it's at. And you know, I always say we have a lot of tech savvy kids, and they all want to be gamers, which is fun. Now, I like playing the
Mm-hmm.
games too. But the next $1 billion tech idea is going to be something business to business.
Business to
Because
business.
of all the money and data at stake is going.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be the next $1 billion tech idea. I
Mm-hmm.
like this one. Amos Varnado. He's also one of our football players, and he asked if somebody wanted to take a similar path of this, what are some things they would need to do to prepare?
You would need to start asking yourself, what problems do I see around me that I feel equipped to solve? And the problem don't have to already, I'm sorry, the solution does not have to already exist because oftentimes we're looking for a blueprint when you really are supposed to be the blueprint. So you see a problem in your community, in your family, around you, and you say, you know what? Why won't they just do this? It'll make life so much simpler. And when that light go off in your head, you then start taking the steps to do that, solve that problem.
I love it. All right, I got time for two more. This is Janila Carter.
Okay.
She asked, "What made you choose this particular area when you were just starting your online platform?"
Because my background is hospitality, I always loved working in hotels, helping people, as I said before, retail. And so naturally, you think hospitality, hotels. Well, I'm like, it would be cool, hospitality, technology. I love working at intersections because you can combine hospitality and technology, and now you're serving multiple areas. And so it was a natural transition from what I already love doing, which is helping people.
Absolutely. This is the last one. This is Ariel Snow, one of our cheerleaders. Just started her first job, which is at one of our burger places down the road here. But
Come on,
again,
Ariel.
Zariel with a Z.
Zerial, Zerial. Okay, come on,
Uh,
Zerial.
so it's customer facing, retail, sales, all that's important. You can start learning that now at 15. But she asked, what has been the biggest motivation throughout your life?
Knowing that how I started does not have to be how I finish.
There you
So
go.
when I realized that I, Samella, am responsible for everything that happens to me, whether somebody did it, I'm responsible for how I react to it. Whether I did it, I'm responsible for how I recover from it. And so my biggest motivator is knowing I can actually, I don't need permission from anybody to be great. I could just do it. I could just be great without having to explain that I want to be great. And so once that light bulb went off in my head, I'm like, what does that look like? And then I took steps to do it on my own terms.
Incredible. Well, we're almost out of time, and I'm so glad we finally got to do this, and we thank you so much for joining us. But a couple things before we go. Instagram, Samella BLCK, all of your links are on there. Great social media follow. You had your stuff. You were in Washington, D.C. literally yesterday. So everybody needs to follow you, Samella, Samella BLCK on Instagram. And again, you also have your links to the block on there as well, so they can see all the great things you post. But the last thing before we go, you just said the way you begin doesn't have to be the way you end. Because you heard me say it too. You can't help where you're born. You can't help who your parents are. There's so many things in life that you literally have zero control over. But there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of things you do have control over. So no matter what your background is, you may say, "Well, I've never seen anybody do it. I don't know if I can do it." This is such a great way, and you're such a great example of you can be the first at something, but just because you're the first doesn't mean you can't be the best at it too. So
Mm-hmm.
as we get ready to end our school year here, and as these kids get ready to move through high school and start transitioning and start making decisions based on what they love and what they want to do with their life, what are some things they need to remember that they can do to be just as successful as someone like you who's up there all the way in New York City?
First of all, I want you to be more successful than me because you're getting the information sooner. I got the information later in life. So, because you guys are having these questions, thinking about these thoughts, I want you to surpass anything that I could think about, right? Like, because you actively heard the information, you, what I call, let it marinate, and then you start taking action on it. So, again, I'm going to always tell you, listen to yourself. If you don't have a relationship with you, and faith is huge, if you don't have a relationship with yourself, you will be pushed, turned. People will tell you, do this, and you will feel like you're confused because you're not your compass. So you absolutely have to do what feels right to yourself. And then challenge your choices. Why am I doing this? Is it because my mama told me to do it, or is it because I see what everybody else doing? Ask yourself the tough questions and then make decisions and stand on your word. If you say you're going to do something, do it. If you want to be great, do it. I don't have, nobody in my family was a tech founder. I didn't even know what being a tech founder even looked like or what that means. And now, to your point, I've raised money from Microsoft. I've been to DC. I get paid for speaking engagements, right? Who am I? That's like, sometimes I ask myself, wait, how did you get this life? But one thing that I did not do, and my friend told me, is I never stopped showing up for me. I
There you
still
go.
show up for me when it's hard, when I'm broke, when I'm confused, when I don't even know the answer. I never stop showing up, even when life tried to take me down. I'm like, get back up. If it take you 2 days or 2 weeks, get back up. Keep getting up, keep getting up. And before we close, I want to share, I'm going to start teaching classes on TikTok for free about what I wish I knew 5 years ago. Things
Wow.
from just like random topics, being a founder, being a Black woman, spirituality, whatever, what I wish I knew 5 years ago. And I'm just going to do sessions on it once a week on my TikTok page, which is Samella Block. And so please follow me, ask questions, stay curious, and nobody could tell you who you can be, but you have the control to be who you want to be.
Absolutely. So that's that TikTok handle is the same as the Instagram, Samela
Absolutely.
BLCK.
And
Uh,
all of my Instagram handles, that's what you call branding. All of my Instagram handles are the same across all my platforms so that if somebody look for me, they're going to find Samela Block on all platforms.
Love it. Great idea. And encourage everybody to follow you. I follow as well. Can't wait to see what all you put. But it's so great that for you to end our semester with us, all the way from Brooklyn and New York City. Samela Watson, founder of The Block.
Don't quit. Do it. You see? Thank you so much. It was amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. And whenever you're in Mississippi, we got to have you.
Absolutely. I would love to do that. I feel like we just got to make it happen.
Love it. Talk to you soon, buddy.
Bye.
See ya.